The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Welcome to another edition of The Gloves Are Off. I'm Moses Woldu. We've got a great show for you. We're going to talk about a lot of quarterback controversies, or quarterbacks, period, especially in the first segment, and guys who've commanded, generals, head coaches roles somewhat. Gary, Gord.
Gary.
Bucky, there we go.
Greg.
Greg. He started with a G somewhere.
Yeah, it's somewhere there.
Yeah, down there. How you doing?
Not too bad.
All right, that's my co-host. And
Thanks,
we're pleased
Mike.
to be joined by an actual head coach, a football head coach with the Holy Rosary Raiders, who came off a big win, winning the Wheatland Football Championship the first time in 3 tries. Vince Orieux, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
All right, so you seem so subdued considering that you just won the Wheatland title, but how is the team feeling and how are you specifically?
Yeah, we're good. We're, we celebrated Saturday and now we're moving on to next week. So subdued, focused, we're ready to move forward here.
All right, that's how it is, the challenge, moving forward. And I guess that kind of ties in with our first question, and it's going to be about DURANT. Moving forward with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, we knew that they were going to be in trouble with DURANT out, and it's proven it. They only won 1 game and now sit at 9-8. They're in big trouble, or so they thought. You have DURANT back, potentially for their game against Edmonton in their season finale, and then him ready for the playoffs. But if you're head coach Corey Chamberlain, seeing what you've seen in practice right now, knowing how Darian DURANT has kind of interacted even though he hasn't been on the field, he's still a leader and has been there in meetings, etc. If he's healthy enough, would you throw him in the season finale, or you say, you know what, we're guaranteed a playoff spot anyways, you wait another week?
If he's healthy, you got to give him some time. I think get his feet wet. You're going to make the playoffs, but you don't want to go to your first playoff game without throwing a ball in a live game. So I think give him a shot.
Yeah, he's been out for like 6 weeks. Hasn't really seen the bullets fly for real for that long a time. I think they got to get him in. He probably won't start the game, but at some time on the weekend against Edmonton, he has to get into the game to get ready for that playoff game.
When you have the Riders becoming so secretive over the last month, they even placed DURANT on the 6-game injured list so they could actually save a couple bucks in the books. But you think of what's transpired and how tight-lipped they've been about Darian DURANT and his status. Are you concerned? Should the Riders be concerned? Or say the Eskimos or whoever they face in the playoffs be much more concerned, considering that they don't really know his status? Where is he right now in that health department?
That's the game in sports. Yeah. That's the mind game in sports. That's the trend now. Is you don't reveal any secrets. You let people wonder and come up with their own conclusions. And I like it a little bit.
Upper body, lower body injuries, we hear that all the time. And it's kind of funny in Saskatchewan right now, in Regina, Darian's not allowed to talk to the media. He practiced on Monday. The Riders management staff said that he is off for any interviews until further notice. So they're saying that he can't talk to the media and the media can't talk to him, which is a little strange, but that's the way it is in Regina right now.
Does that ambiguity favor the Riders at all in the future, either in this weekend or the playoffs?
I think it leaves teams that they're going to face against wondering exactly who they're going to start. I think in the back of their minds, they know if he's healthy and he's throwing, and he is right now, that number 4 is going to be in the lineup, and that's who they're going to be facing.
Yeah, there's implications this week, right? If they win or lose for Edmonton or Saskatchewan, so Edmonton has to game prep, and they're not sure who they're game prepping for. So yeah, it's an important deal.
Well, if you're trying to game prep against Ben Roethlisberger, good luck, because the last 3 games he's been phenomenal, really turning around this Pittsburgh Steelers offense and this team. They're looking quite good, especially leading the division, or at least half game back of Cincinnati for top spot in the AFC North. You look at this Roethlisberger's numbers, 2 500-yard games this season. No NFL quarterback has ever done that in one single season, and on top of that, he also had a 6-touchdown performance last week. So with all that said, you look how valuable Roethlisberger has been, especially for a team that's not known for throwing the ball. Is he the front runner right now for the MVP race in the NFL?
Well, it's never too early to talk about MVP, I suppose, and he's there right now. He's number 2 in the league for yards and touchdowns and quarterback passer rating. So definitely he's leading his team, and it's not a real skilled team. I think he's, other than Brown at receiver, You know, they're
Doesn't
not real.
hurt when you got Le'Veon Bell.
They're
who
not.
can
Well,
catch
I
from
guess
the
Bell at
backfield.
running back too. Yeah, but they're not like real deep. So I think they rely on a veteran quarterback to get them where they're at.
Yeah, he's right up there when you're talking MVP, but you got to think about Andrew Luck too. He's had a great season with the Colts. Brady, you know what, he keeps on having his doubters, and every time keeps on proving that he's still an elite quarterback. So, yeah, he's right up there as an MVP contender right now, but there's still a lot of football to
Are you
play.
more impressed, though, with Roethlisberger, considering you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're not known, they've had good quarterbacks, don't get me wrong, but they're not known as a passing team. They like to grind you out. Isn't it kind of unique in this situation that you have Roethlisberger putting up these all-star numbers with that offense, and of course he's had issues with his own offensive coordinator. So wouldn't you think this has got to at least put him ahead of those guys, considering that this is a team, and like you said, Vince, they're not as talented as some other teams. Like Andrew Luck has a lot of weapons. This guy doesn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, it definitely shows his talent, and I guess we'll see down the stretch if he can keep it going. A true MVP will take his team to the playoffs and take them deep into the playoffs. So if he can do that, then he's got to be in the talk later on in the season.
Yeah,
Greg?
when he wins the big games, when it becomes really important, we're talking December and January, then if he's winning and he's still putting up numbers like that, then yeah, he's probably a shoe-in to win.
What about Peyton Manning? Throw 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in their loss against the New England Patriots. And Tom Brady, do you think Peyton was responsible for the loss? They did not look good, especially in that first half.
He said he stunk.
Yeah.
His
But can
numbers.
you blame him completely?
No, but a good leader will take the blame, right? He'll take it off the rest of his team. They'll go back to work and they'll prepare and they'll be just fine.
You got to think that there's something. Peyton's had issues with the Patriots, whether it be with the Colts or with the Broncos. He doesn't play well against them. So
Cold weather in Foxborough.
You hate that maybe the media, and we like to make a big thing out of the mental game that he's losing before he gets on the field. I like to think that he doesn't. He just has bad games against them. So I think he's a guy that's, you know what, he had a bad game on Sunday. He's going to bounce back.
I think one of the things we've learned is you can never doubt Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, that New England team altogether. Are the Patriots, especially after getting thumped by Kansas City, they've been on a nice little roll here, have they kind of supplanted Denver perhaps as a top team in the AFC?
Go ahead.
You know what? They have a big game this weekend. They got the Colts, and you know what? And we just talked about what Luck's done this season. That's another big game for them. So they have a challenge against the Broncos one weekend. They get right back at it against the Colts. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond to that. But, you know, we had a few weeks ago on the show, we talked about are the Patriots on the downcline of their, I guess their franchise where, you know, it looked like Brady's numbers are going down. It looked like they were struggling. All of a sudden, we're not talking about that a few weeks later.
Yeah, I think New England does such a great job of scheming every week for a specific opponent. It's not, they look like a different team every Sunday. And yeah, they've got some weapons. Brady is still, top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league. Gronkowski's healthy, and you can see the damage he can do when he's on his game.
All right, we're going to talk about damages to quarterbacks, in particular Tony Romo, and hurting the chances of the Dallas Cowboys making the playoffs. Well, tune in a few minutes.